Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about a new upcoming voice in the Democratic Party. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been all over the news lately, ever since a few days ago when she won the Democratic nomination for Congress in New York's 14th District, ousting the 10-term incumbent Representative Joe Crowley. Now, whether this was because she was really great or Crowley was really terrible, that's up to you. But after you hear about Cortez's radical positions and background, you'll quickly realize it's probably the latter. Sure, winning the nomination over a 10-termer is nothing to shake your head at, but Cortez is clearly young, dumb, and rather naive when you get right down to it. This 28-year-old Latina from New York is mounting her first campaign after all. And guess what? She's pretty much going full socialist. If you thought Bernie Sanders was bad, just wait till you hear more about Cortez. And well, a Hispanic wanting socialism shouldn't be all that surprising though, since most of Central and South America have tried that communist bullshit, and guess what? Socialism fails every time. That's why Cuba's still a shithole today, and that's why Venezuela has been breaking down for years. Hell, they have to carry their money in wheelbarrows over there. Just saying. Do we really want to import these failing socialist systems into the United States? I don't think so, but Alexandria Cortez sure would like to try. We're going to go over more of her story today and talk about some of her crazy proposed policies, such as free college for everyone, guaranteed government jobs too, and get this, she wants to abolish ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, which is helping protect our country and our borders. Yeah, we've got a real humdinger of a story here today, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Today we've got a number of left-wing news outlets trying to prop up this Democratic push for socialism under Cortez, and it seems to look like the Democrats' reaction to them failing and losing relevance with their bases to go even more extreme and far to the left. Not a smart move, obviously, but I'm not really complaining either. The more their party goes down the socialist, Bernie Sanders, progressive path, the more they are going to lose elections and relevance. The American people, the real average American citizens, we hate socialism because we know it doesn't work. So as a conservative, seeing the Democrats continue to destroy themselves is rather nice. With all that said, let's go ahead and turn to our first video then and see what this Cortez lady's all about. This one comes from AJ Plus, and it's called Alexandria Cortez Talks Democratic Socialism. And looking below the video, you can already see this is a big mess. First of all, AJ Plus has to reveal that it's Al Jazeera and it's funded by the Qatari government. That's a weird start, but we've covered AJ Plus videos before, and we already know they're Muslim-funded and anti-American propaganda. They're shit disturbers who hate the United States, so them pushing a shitty system like socialism on us isn't that surprising.
I don't believe that in a moral and wealthy America, people should be too poor to live.
I can't let you go! She's looking at herself on television right now. How are you feeling? Can you put it into words?
Nope. I cannot put this into words.
It's almost like she's seeing dollar signs. When I see Democrats getting elected, I always see them this way. They pretend to be doing it for the people and to help the world, but we all know that's bullshit. Democrats run for office so they can get power and make money. Plain and simple. That's why both the Clintons and the Obamas became rich after coming out of office. While Donald Trump, the Republican, on the other hand, he's actually losing money by being president.
You are from the Bronx, born and raised. You actually represent and live in the community that you hope to represent in Congress. When we see all too often Congress members not even living in their district, like your opponent, what does it mean for you to have effective representation like that?
There's been so many, especially working class people in the Bronx that are so excited. I went to my bodega last night and people were just excited and clapping.
I guess she's supposed to be the cool, hip, young socialist candidate. I mean, she just said bodega, guys. She's obviously down. And hey, she's not ugly either, so that obviously helps. So I would say, at face value, Cortez does look the part. She's a smart, well-spoken, attractive female politician who wants to be a woman of the people, I guess. So at face value, that doesn't look too bad. But when you realize she's a full-blown communist, well, it's pretty fucking troubling. At least with Bernie Sanders, he looks old and gross, and that matches his old and gross socialist politics. But with Cortez, she's kind of sexy and cool, which makes her secret terrible politics even more dangerous, especially when you figure out her actual position on things and how bad they are. Unfortunately though, you won't hear much about her socialism in this video on AJ Plus. Even though the title says she talks democratic socialism, there's really not much talk about it at all here. Probably because this is a left-wing propaganda piece, which is trying to prop up Cortez and make her socialism palpable to the masses. And, well, once they start talking about the specifics and about the real details of her bullshit, like trying to give away free stuff to everyone, supposedly free stuff that really our raised taxes will pay for, well, when people start hearing that bullshit, they start to realize how stupid Cortez and socialism really is. And many people are catching on to this too. Despite every mainstream media news outlet outlet trying to shove Cortez and this communism down people's throats. Despite all that, the views and the ratings and the comments on these videos tell a different story. Most of the real people out there know. They know that this is another liberal trick trying to get socialism up and running in America again. So here's another video which shows what I'm talking about. It's from the Washington Post and it's called Opinion. This is not your grandfather's concept of socialism. Obviously trying to normalize socialism again, and it's been rated rather poorly because of it. Let's see why.
I think we're gonna have a red wave, not a blue wave.
It looks like there is a red wave coming these midterm elections, but it's not the one Trump's been tweeting about.
For me, democratic socialism is about really the value for me is that I believe that in a modern, moral, and wealthy society, no person in America should be too poor to live.
So this Washington Post girl is saying there was a red wave coming, and it's a communist red wave. Like, that's a good thing? What the fuck? I know it's kinda cool for college kids to go full communist for a month or something. Try wearing one of those Che Guevara shirts or something, but let's not pretend this is good for our country in the long run. We spent decades and decades fighting communists in the Cold War, which we only just got out of in the 90s. And now, a few decades later, lefties want to bring this socialist, communist bullcrap to America. No thank you. I like keeping what I can of my paychecks. Paying 30% in taxes is already more than enough for me. I know these Democrats would like to take 50 or 75% of our pay if they could, but not on my watch.
When most Americans think about socialism, they're still thinking about the Cold War, they're thinking about dictatorships, they're thinking about... Democratic socialism is distinguished from sort of regular socialism in that it is democratic. It is a type of socialism that is not authoritarian. At this point, probably most Americans who are talking about democratic socialism are referring to the democratic socialist welfare state.
Socialism is inherently authoritarian, though. Democratic socialism is simply tyranny of the majority. It is inherently authoritarian because it requires confiscation from the minority and redistribution to the majority. This continues until the wealthy minority is bled dry and the destitute majority becomes a destitute country. And eventually your country just falls apart like Venezuela.
People call it the Nordic model. This is just a series of institutions like old age pensions, child allowances, universal health care, universal education. Pull up YouTube, take a look at how things are going in Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Norway, the United Kingdom. I lived there for a year. Not totalitarian, not scary.
Are you fucking serious, lady? Sweden has turned into a fucking Muslim country at this point. Swedenistan. And England isn't far from that either. These countries are not good role models for America at all. They can't even look at porn in the United Kingdom without getting a fucking license for it. God damn. We shouldn't be looking up to these European countries. And saying shit like this is why the Democrats are going to continue to lose elections. If they keep going down this road, they'll never win again. Because no one in America wants to become socialist or a socialist-like European country. In fact, with the 4th of July coming up so soon, it's a good time to note that this was part of the reason we broke off from the English Empire to begin with. Back in 1776, it was because America didn't want to pay their over-the-top taxes. And still, to this day, Americans don't want to give away more of our hard-earned money either. The rest of this video is just this snaggletooth girl here going on and on about wanting socialism in America. And I have to say, this chick and Cortez, these kinds of people, these are big gifts to the Republican Party. The Democrats keep on moving further and further to the left, and they're alienating the tiny base they have left, pun intended. You cannot continue to preach straight socialism in America, not in this day and age. Not after the Make America Great movement has already taken over. And that's not even mentioning the fact that voter turnout was really super low for Cortez's nomination last week. Only like 5% of her district's voters actually showed up, which means they really don't care. And these were just Democratic voters, so I'm willing to bet the Republicans are probably going to win this seat anyway, because they're all going to show up for the election and stop these communist retards. Thank God. In our last video pushing this new far left socialist agenda comes from our old buddies at Vice News. It's called Alexandria Cortez. There's room for democratic socialists in the Democratic Party, and it's not doing too well in the ratings and comments either. Let's go ahead and take a look and see why.
What made you do this?
Well, I knew that we could be better. I knew in my backyard, I'm an organizer here, I'm an educator here, I've worked with families here, I understand the economic crises that people are facing in New York City. We can't afford to live in the neighborhoods that our families have called home for generations. And
including your own family?
Including my own family.
So she's running for office because her family can't afford their house. I don't get that logic. I guess she wants to run for public office so she can give her family more handouts from the taxpayers, I guess? I would have just gotten a more profitable job or career myself. Or, you could just downsize your living situation and move into some place you can actually afford, but no, that's not the Democratic way. When the left doesn't have money, they always turn to the government because they're greedy assholes.
All these news stories say you're a socialist, a democratic socialist, a member of the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. Are you a Democrat?
Yeah, I'm a Democrat. In fact, I started off this race as part of a coalition, Justice Democrats.
They're kind of scared of you, aren't they?
I don't know. I've been in press all day.
Yeah.
Annoying laugh. And by the way, the Justice Democrats are bullshit. They're a bullshit progressive leftist group started by Cenk fucking Uygur from the Young Turks. Need I say more? If your group is started by Cenk Uygur, you got issues, man. This guy is simply the worst.
In terms of improving our educational system, I'm happy to do those things. But I will not compromise on a vision, and I will not compromise on the goal, and I will not compromise on the future that I think is best for this country.
So yes, she will compromise on medical and education, but no on personal visions and goals. I wonder what her vision for the future of America would be, by the way, because I'm pretty sure it's a socialist, communist America she wants, probably with a lot less white people.
Did you experience sexism during this campaign?
Duh. Of course. I mean, the New York City political establishment, Congress, it's 80% male. That's not an accident, It's not like women just decided, oh, I'm going to give up all my power. You guys go do it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's not an accident. People run for office and get voted in by their citizens. Just because a lot of those officials happen to be dudes doesn't mean there's gross sexism in America. I mean, a lot of nurses are females. Do you think there's sexism going on in hospitals? No. And there's not in Congress either. The reason there's a lot of dudes in Congress is because men have been the better candidates, and more people are voting for men in the long run. So this response from Cortez saying everything is sexist is totally retarded. And when she was asked this question, she answered with a, duh, of course there is sexism in America. And saying that is very troubling too. And that's not an answer that aligns with facts or reality. It aligns with radical leftists and social justice warriors who are simply the worst. They're the true sexists too, by the way. Suggesting that men got the majority of the seats in Congress because of sexism is actually sexist against those men, because it's suggesting they didn't work hard and earn those positions on merit, but they were merely just handed them because they have penises.
First of all, immigration is not a problem. And one of the really serious issues is that narrative and that mythology has really just been hijacked and perpetuated in the United States. The idea that immigration is somehow a negative thing.
The fact that this chick can sit here and pretend immigration is not a problem really says a lot. She's pretty young, naive, and sheltered if she really believes that, which makes sense since she did grow up in a rich New York City neighborhood with a lot of money in her family. But I have to tell you, out here in the real world, immigration is a problem. I know socialists think that money means nothing and everything should be free, but us normie people out here have to work real jobs. We're not some fake community organizer like how Cortez was, and by the way, Obama was too. Will they both turn out to be crooked? We'll see. But us normies with real jobs, we have to compete in order to get paid, so more immigrants means less jobs for Americans. And there are loads of other issues with this too. I mean, why does Cortez assume we need more immigrants anyway? Why do we want to bring in more and more people to this already strapped and crowded country? They don't say why, they just assume it's good, because the Democrats assume everyone knows they're trying to do the right thing. But really, we all know they're just trying to get illegals to vote for them.
My congressional district included, we're half immigrant, and people are so proud to be part of a community like that because it's awesome. It's awesome. It really is awesome. Like, love immigrants. They're awesome.
What a fucking ditz. I hate this notion that immigrants are better than other people. Why? And what about the Americans? I say American citizens are awesome. Immigrants are fine too, and they can be great as well, but they can also be terrible. Democrats try and pretend every immigrant is great, but that's far from the truth. Many immigrants are illegals, criminals, and big burdens to society. Lastly, let's talk about what Cortez thinks of our boy, President Donald J. Trump. Here's a clip from CNN that actually starts with Trump praising Cortez. Let's see how she responds to that, though.
I think President Trump was praising you there. Your reaction?
I mean, first of all, it is unacceptable to be, disrespectful. I think of Congressman Crowley. He's done some phenomenal work for for the Bronx and Queens, and so...
If his work was so good, then why did you just run against him? And why are you bashing Trump right after he complimented you? I know why. Cortez is a stark anti-Trumper, like all Democrats. And side note, she's even gone so far as to call for Trump's impeachment, which also, unfortunately, is another common move by lefties. They have no grounds for impeachment other than their personal hatred of Trump, which seems to be their only justification for it, but that's where we are today. We have a ditzy 28-year-old rookie Democrat who's a full-blown socialist and calling for President Trump's impeachment for no reason. Like I said before, Cortez is naive and uneducated, especially if she thinks that no one has to pay for these free things she's suggesting. Nothing is free. The price is just paid by someone else. Her ideology appeals to those who want to accept no personal responsibility for their own lives, like how social justice warriors are and feminists. And it sounds like your average Democrat, really. They want free stuff from the government, unlimited immigration, and they love pushing their social justice, everything is sexist and racist bullcrap. But if we're being honest, like I said before, Cortez is still kind of a gift to our side. She's taken the Democrats further and further to the left extreme, leaving more center-leaning voters no choice but to either opt out of voting or vote Republican, as they should. Unless you want to get taxed to death, while more immigrants are imported to replace us and take our jobs. Unless real Americans want to be completely disenfranchised and replaced, you gotta stay away from these left-wing socialist policies and the Democratic Party. Or, God forbid, we will become like England or Sweden or some other shithole Euro-trash nation. So I have to say, while the rise of Cortez is troubling, I also love it too. I love it, and I say, keep going farther and farther left, Democrats. Keep this up. Keep shouting absurd things like abolish ICE, and keep throwing yourselves on the slaughter table over illegal aliens, rather than protecting United States citizens or veterans, God forbid. And I say the Democrats should keep shouting there aren't two genders too, and that all white people are evil, because the more they do this, the more people are going to turn away from liberalism. So I say, thank you very much to Cortez and the Democratic Party right now, because us conservatives are going to continue to slaughter your party thanks to harebrained schemes like this one. In the end, Cortez is completely clueless. So clueless, and she is in a lot of trouble too. The Democrats are going to use her in ways she won't understand until it's too late. She wants to tax everyone to death. She wants everyone to have free government housing, and she wants everyone to have free education too, and free government jobs that are controlled by Democrats, of course. Don't forget that. And she also wants everyone to get paid a minimum of $15 an hour, while at the same time saying we can't afford to live? Give me a fucking break. Then how can you afford to do all this socialist bullcrap? I know we all think we know everything when we're 28, but honey, let me tell you, you really don't. Alex Cortez is way too young to be a leader of millions of people. She's way too young and has zero experience. None. And if we don't stop her, she will destroy her state and a lot more. I'm sorry to say it, but New York and the Democrats, you picked this monster to be the new face of your party, so now you're gonna have to deal with this aftermath. What do you guys think? Is Alex Cortez a full-blown socialist communist? And will communism ever work in America? And are we truly going red? And what do you think when dum-dums like this think they can impeach Trump? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.